to your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just some high-flying wren, fast vertical stems, and professors from Penn watching eagles eat and pray like Pazookies on birthdays. It's Philadelphia, Marissa, Bo, and Zach kicking it. Cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Marissa, Bo, and Zach are here to squawk. Don't miss the mistress talk on some.
You know the term salt of the earth? I guess I screw up the term. I call it dirt of the earth. I said it like the most earnest way possible.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Monday afternoon emergency Birds with Friends. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Marissa Dunn here to talk about the big news of the day. One of the best young players in football is locked in to return to the team where he played last season. That's right, Michael Dunn, baby, back with the Browns.
Yes, very exciting, but obviously there's some big Eagles news here today. But yes, very happy for Michael. Very sad he's already left for Cleveland, and I'm stuck in New Jersey because I got lots of doctor's appointments. But very exciting, and don't take any of it for granted. It's a wild journey, this NFL experience, but very excited and happy for him, and very grateful for all the wonderful listeners that have sent nice messages on Twitter when they saw the tweet this morning. So love the sickos.
How we doing? We're feeling good.
Yeah,
we're happy to be back. I mean, this is tough timing baby wise.
Well, yeah, I did message you guys that, who's babysitting week 2 of preseason, because it's already been announced that the Browns will be going to Philly for joint practices. So
right.
Yes, so hopefully me and baby Dunn will be making a trip down to Philly. I got lots of plans for her already, so I don't know. I mean, everyone tells me don't make too many plans with a 4-week-old, so we'll see. But I definitely can't miss that, obviously. So yeah, I'm excited. I think that would be great. We do a live pod with like a 1-month-old baby.
We're not going to be making you work, but
well, someone will edit it.
You're certainly invited.
I will be on maternity leave, but I would be happy to bring my mic and join along.
Okay, then we're talking.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, Dad, there's it, or you say there's Dad blocking
right
that 6'6", 360-pound nose tackle running right at him. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I did order her some gear this morning, some custom,
nice
shirts that say Dad on the back. I think Michael might be listening right now. It's going to be a surprise, but
now, do we have
anything a surprise?
What do we think? Do we have like a chip on our shoulder, like the rest of the league? You're missing out on a Pro Bowl caliber guard here. Like he's got to go back to Cleveland and prove that the league got it wrong. He's going to get like a 31 tattoo on the back of his neck or something like that.
I mean, I think
32 really
always has a chip to prove, or a chip on his shoulder, and always like that's just the mentality he has. He's always ready to like go out and prove himself. A lot of guys have that in this league, and when you're
Zach
a deaf
included.
guy,
And
that's
in this
what
business,
yeah. When you're a deaf guy, that's kind of what you have to do. So yeah, exciting stuff. I feel like I feel so bad that it's been 4 minutes and we haven't talked about the highest contract the Eagles have extended or whatever.
This is Eagles news. The Eagles have to play them. I mean, what happened last summer in preseason? They got dominated by Michael Dunn.
Well,
Yeah.
I am curious. Over my right shoulder here, I have NFL Network on, and they just had the quad box up with like I think the screen said the impact of the Jalen Hurts news on the NFL or on the quarterback market. I'm wondering how they had to adjust their programming from the Michael Dunn news earlier today, right? Because I imagine in those meetings out in Inglewood at the NFL Network studios earlier this morning, they're like, all right, the B block will be, how this affects the Browns offensive line. The C block will be what this means for the draft. And then all of a sudden, the Jalen Hurts news comes out.
Yeah, exactly. I think Michael got like an hour, and then the Hurts. We actually were on together taping something special for tomorrow Am I not supposed to reveal that?
I thought
No,
you,
you
I
can.
didn't, you meant you and Michael.
Oh, no. We
Oh.
were all on together.
We
with the
were
Hurts
pre-recording
news.
something, yes.
We were pre-recording a segment with Dane Brugler, which everyone can look forward to tomorrow.
Yes.
And so I think the Michael news got like a full hour out there.
And
then,
Zach goes, hold on, wait a second.
no, Zach was so excited. I wish I was recording. I would have clipped it.
He's
Zach was like, "Oh my god!"
hold on, yeah. And then we still did this. I was like, we should
was
still
like-
do the segment.
I
Dane's
was
a
like,
busy
let's still
guy.
do-
We got 15
And I
minutes.
was like,
And Zach could not have been more flustered.
Zach was sweating. Bo's asking these questions, and Zach's like, "I got to be reaching out to
I got a news
sources."
ask.
yeah. I mean, it's like, Bo's like, yeah, we can do it in 15 minutes. I'm like, what?
Zach's
Yeah.
like, "What have we done in 15
I'm sorry.
minutes on this
Listen,
show?"
Mr. Treat everybody like they're an important person in the elevator. We got Dane Brugler, who's got a busy schedule. He's got some time blocked out on his calendar. Let's take advantage. We got to be respectful of his time.
I understand. I wasn't being disrespectful this time. I actually prefaced it by saying, Dane, I feel really bad because I know you're busy. But people just made Jalen Hurts the highest paid player in the NFL. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we did it. Yeah,
Yep.
we did it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it was an eventful morning between the Michael signing and Hurts.
Now,
I mean,
Marissa,
been crazy.
like David Canner can't let you break that news.
So it's really funny. He texted me this morning. He left for Cleveland yesterday, like officially signed. He did his physical and everything. And I was like, oh, should I, text our Browns guys, like, give our Athletic the scoop. And before I knew it, it was on Twitter already. So I sent them the tweet. I said, I guess even when you're the wife and a journalist, it doesn't matter. No, but he had a nice little graphic. So I was really liking that. They had the nice little Photoshop pictures of Michael all done.
Now, what about I should have sent it to you to pull it up on the broadcast here that we have, but feel free to check out the NFL Networks, the Around the NFL image that they used for the Michael Dunn re-sign. I mean, they did our boy dirty here.
I literally have it right here. I could hold it up to the screen.
It's like, I gotta go back to Cleveland.
I said to you guys, this is the face he makes when I'm yelling at him. Like
that's gonna be Michael.
Wrong?
I know you just had a tough week of practice. You got the Ravens on Sunday, but it is your turn to change some diapers, my friend.
Yeah, we that has been a big topic of conversation last night and this morning of like, what the heck during training camp and who's gonna be helping me, and I'll take all the advice out there everybody has for
I mean, you've got the crib done already. You're way ahead of the game.
Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we can't wait, and it's going to be an eventful summer, but a fun summer. I just hope, she comes a little early, like I told you guys, because the Browns also play in the Hall of Fame game, of course. Like, why wouldn't they?
That's brutal.
So my due date
go a week early.
My due date is July 2nd. He'll have to leave for camp, I think, July 16th. So let's hope that this little girl who's been kicking a lot, so hopefully she wants out a little early. But whenever she's ready, we will be.
And your sister is also pregnant, so it's not like you can monopolize.
And my sister is
from your mom.
Yeah, I know. We got to split our time, unfortunately. My sister is in Philly, so that's why hopefully for week 2 of the preseason, I'll definitely be able to hopefully come down there and spend some time, see you guys, see the joint practices. It will be a grand old time.
How long do you
can't wait to hear
can...
what it's going to be like. I can't wait to hear what it's going to be like.
I'll be like exhausted, all bags under my eyes.
Yeah, when Michael's complaining
Starbucks.
about a hard practice or something, or like the hotel room bed is uncomfortable and you got
He only got 9 hours. I'm like, oh yeah?
You haven't slept in 3 weeks. Yep.
Right, exactly.
How long do you think we can go on this podcast without talking about Jalen Hurts before Zach spontaneously combusts?
Well, I tried to make a passing reference to it with the NFL Network thing to steer us into the conversation. I tried to do it like gracefully without a way that the minions would get upset. And I do genuinely truly care about the Michael Dunn news. Like, I'm so happy for Marissa and Michael. That's awesome. But I do think at some point we should at least address Jalen Hurts getting the
I mean,
highest.
we're 10 minutes in. I feel like it's about time.
I mean, we've addressed it. It happened. What else is there to say?
Oh, but there's a lot that we can say.
Good for him and good for
Yeah.
Nicole Lynn. Like that's, huge. So love to see that.
Okay. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. All right, Zach.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of a surprise only in that we weren't expecting it to happen necessarily this week, but we did know that the Eagles wanted to potentially get this done if they could before Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert sign extensions, before a long-term contract for Lamar Jackson gets signed. And so they have signed, or at least agreed to terms, with Jalen Hurts on a 5-year, $255 million extension that takes him through 2028. He that's about 51 average annual value, which is a record setter in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first no trade clause the Eagles have given out. Obviously, it's the most expensive deal they've ever given out. It is 178.3 guaranteed up front. And it's the cost of doing business for having an elite quarterback, right? So it is not a huge drain on their cap right away. It's not much of a difference from what would be the fourth year of his rookie deal this year. And then you sort of factor in next year's contract is about what it would be for a franchise tag. And then after that, it jumps up to that $51 million number. And then you're probably looking at some restructures anyway. So it doesn't necessarily cripple them cap wise, but it is obviously a big number there as the Eagles, as you have said, Zach, need to now transition from the building phase of the roster to the maintenance phase.
So a few things on this deal. I think that was a good summary, and we should point out you referenced it, but I've received this question a few times over the past few hours. So just want to explain it out here. This is a contract extension. It's not a new contract. So the fourth year of his rookie contract is still in place. So he's under contract through the 2028 season. Okay. So that should help you out years wise, right?
Right. Because this year currently is 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you go 24,
Mm-hmm.
25, 26, 27, 28.
Yes, but I think some people see a 5-year deal and they wonder if it's a new contract. So it's a contract extension.
And of course, there is money. There is a signing bonus. There is money up front.
Yep.
That's why Jalen Hurts does the deal now. That's it's not.
So this is just an aside. If you've read about Alex Rodriguez's contract with the Texas Rangers, the $252 million one,
As we all have.
it was $252. It was $252 million because the previous biggest contract in sports was Kevin Garnett's, which was 126, and he wanted to make it twice as much as Kevin Garnett's. They were so close to making this twice as much as Carson Wentz's contract.
Oh,
right. So all they had to do was get up to 256. Right. They went to 255. So
they did top the previous average high was $50 million for Aaron Rodgers, the extension he signed last year. So the 51 gets it to the highest there.
Exactly, highest annual, and so it's almost 2x what the Eagles signed Carson Wentz for. And Jalen Hurts will be able to sign a new deal. Again, if
I hope he buys a bed twice as big as Carson's.
By the time he's 30. So we said kind of all along that it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when and how it was structured. And from my vantage point, this was a very fair deal for both sides. This wasn't like a discount. You're not going to get a discounted rate for it was the going rate for a starting quarterback. You didn't know how it was going to be structured, guaranteed wise or years wise. It just seemed very fair. It wasn't acrimonious. And we see in Baltimore right now what happens when a negotiation gets acrimonious. You didn't want to get it. You didn't want it to get to that point. Jalen, I don't know if you would call it a concession. I give him credit and his agent, Nicole Lynn, credit, and whoever's in his camp here credit for this. He could have waited for Joe Burrow, could have waited for Lamar Jackson, could have waited for Justin Herbert. But he clearly got a number he was happy with. That's kind of the best deal when it's not dictated by the other houses on the block, so to speak. But you find a number that you're comfortable with and that the team's comfortable with. And now the Eagles have him under control. And I would push. I think that the Eagles shouldn't look at it as maintenance stage. They should look at it as like they are always building. But what they need to do, and Bo and I
was just using your.
Yeah.
I thought
Yes,
that
exactly.
was your thing.
Yes.
You're pushing back on yourself.
Yeah. That it makes. I think that it can be overstated that you can't win with a quarterback on a big contract. You can win with
the last 3 Super Bowls have been won by quarterbacks on big contracts.
What it does is you need to make hard decisions elsewhere on the roster because you can't keep everybody, right? You need to draft and develop well. You need to have contributing players on rookie contracts. That's the math here. And so the Eagles have a pristine opportunity, frankly, in these next 2 drafts with 6 premium picks. I consider first-round picks and second-round picks premium picks. Then if you include third-rounders, even more. But 6 premium picks here to add players who are going to be part of this core to grow with Jalen. And the other thing that I would say is that they have a lot of their top offensive talent locked up. The big question on the offensive side of the ball with Jalen going forward here is the succession plans for Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson, right? What eventually happens with Devontae Smith and how they can keep building on that side of the ball. But I think the Eagles are obviously in a good position. And the most important part, we should say, is Jalen needs to continue on this trajectory. He needs to avoid injury, and he needs to continue to improve. I think the big lesson I've written about all that went wrong in the Carson Wentz era, and there were things environmentally that the Eagles did and that they could have done differently. But the bottom line is Carson regressed. And when you saw it in Denver last year, when you're paying a quarterback top of the league money and he's not playing like a top of the league player, it hampers everything around you. And so they need Jalen to continue on this trajectory. And so I think this is a huge moment for the franchise. It's obviously a huge moment for Jalen Hurts. And I'll end this monologue. It's not a soliloquy, as someone pointed out to me recently. It's a monologue. By
soliloquy,
saying,
tough word to spell.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Someone just walked in.
Is it Nicole Lynn?
No. So the last thing I'll say to this here is that sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Is it Dane Brugler?
You're ending the soliloquy or ending the monologue.
Yeah. Here we can proceed and it will come back to me. I'm sorry.
Who walked in?
Emily did. No.
She is more than welcome to join. Go get her.
She gave me.
Wow. This is like this is too bad. We're never gonna know what the end of the soliloquy was, of the monologue.
What did she give you?
An energy drink.
The business.
Oh.
Yeah. Here, I think the point that I was trying to make was that Jalen earned this deal, right? In the NFL, sometimes status can come before accomplishments, and you're the top pick in the draft, and all of a sudden you're the franchise guy, right? Or Jalen we've gone through the whole story. He was benched in college on the biggest stage of his college career, and he got better. He came in, was a second-round pick, was a backup. He earned the starting job. The Eagles were interested last offseason in Russell Wilson and potentially Deshaun Watson, and Jalen became the guy they needed to pay. So Jalen's in this situation because he earned it. I give him a lot of credit for that.
People want to know what the energy drink was.
It's called Celsius. Have you heard of this?
No.
I have. It's a
healthy.
very trendy energy drink. Yep.
I've
a
never
lot of the
drank it before.
influencers. It's perfect for you, Zach.
Okay.
You could put it in the Stanley. Pour it in the Stanley.
Yeah. So I think she knows I haven't gotten up today from my seat. So
it's like 100 calories of a regular drink is actually 35 calories of a Celsius drink.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. Okay. No, there's actually only 10 calories in this thing. It's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, I think there are two separate buckets of discussion we can have here, topic trees, if you will, Zach. And I think we can talk about like what this means for the team building process moving forward, and also just reflecting on the accomplishment of Jalen Hurts and his ascension over the past 2 years. Why don't we start with that, and then we'll get to the team after the break. I think with Jalen, I mean, first of all, it is a reminder of how little we know and how much, like, how quickly things can change. We have gone back to this time and again, but a year ago at this time, or 13 months ago at this time, they were coming off a bad playoff loss to the Bucs, and the Eagles were at the very least, considering or flirting with the possibility of trying to trade for Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson to find someone who they thought was a franchise quarterback. The 2 first-round picks in 2023 loomed as this this event on the horizon that was, if it doesn't work out this year, we can use those picks to go get a quarterback next year. And by no means were the Eagles, attached to Jalen Hurts as the face of the franchise, obviously, as the starting quarterback. And a year later, not only is Jalen Hurts going to be here for a very long time and established himself as one of the very best quarterbacks in the league, but he is it's sort of not enough to say that he's like the face of the franchise. Like, he is the franchise right now. And not only is he the quarterback, like they traded for his best friend, and that's the number one option on offense. This guy who he's known his entire life is the new offensive coordinator. Like, no one in the building has more juice than Jalen Hurts. Like, this is his team. He is like the heartbeat of the locker room. And you talk about, maybe this is overstated to some degree, but the idea that if you give somebody money, they become more of who they are, right? That's like an NFL truism, they say. And
in life too.
If there's any anybody who is like who the Eagles can rely on more to not be like, taken aback by this life-changing money, and to continue keeping the main thing, as he would like to say, it is Jalen Hurts. And I mean, I think we have been impressed all along with like how true that stuff seems to be for him. And it seems odd at first, but the more you see him, the more you watch him, the more it seems true. I'm not like, I feel like I have been like higher on Jalen Hurts than consensus most of the time, and still very much underestimating just how good he can be. And so I'm not willing to say like just how good he can be. And yet, if he is only ever as good as he was last year, like, the contract is worth it. He was a superstar last year, and he played his best game on the biggest stage.
Well said. And we were on this pod a year ago when we kept making references to that Bills-Chiefs playoff game and how Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were going back and forth, and they need a quarterback who can do that. And
it seemed like they were playing a different sport.
Jalen Hurts literally did that. Like, in the Super Bowl, he was going back and forth with Patrick Mahomes.
If they don't throw their flag, he probably wins the game.
Yeah, he was that player. So he's what you want. I keep reading about we made reference to it before, the perils of paying a franchise quarterback, and it's always framed in such a way that this is, should you pay a guy? There's never a problem with paying a guy who's the right guy, right? You want to be in a situation where you're paying one of those players who you can win with. You do everything you can to get that player, to keep that player, to keep him happy. And so, this is a good outcome. You obviously can't predict the future, but when you're making this type of investment, you're investing in the person as much as you are the player, right? Because you're counting on the personality to, as you said, speedy tempo setter in the building. He won't just hold this status because he's paid $255 million. He'll hold this status because of like who he is and the investment they've made in him and what that stands for. And you're betting on that being a value added as opposed to, working in the other direction. And I think they should feel very confident in the person they are investing in addition to the player.
We have like a, response article that should be going up on The Athletic at any minute now, Zach. But one of the questions in there was, when do you think the Eagles knew that Jalen Hurts was their longtime quarterback? I haven't seen your answers. What did you say?
I said around the bye week. I did a piece there on like the most unsatisfied, undefeated quarterback, and they were 6-0, and he was, they were 6-0 in large part because of him, right? At that point, I think he had 12 combined touchdowns, only 2 turnovers, and everything he was doing and saying, you're like, you want this guy as the face of your franchise. So not to say it was then, but that's probably, for me, at least that's when it started to sink in. And then when you saw like the before and the after, or the with and without, what's we call that, the A/B test with headlines, right? The A/B test when Hurts is on the field and when Hurts is not on the field, it was clear that he's not just propped up by this great roster. He is propping up this great roster, right? And then
there's a symbiosis there, but yeah.
Yeah. And then it was certainly solidified when you saw the way he played in the Super Bowl. It's like you need to do everything you can to keep this guy in your building and keep him happy.
Yeah, I think I still point to that week 2 game against the Vikings, the Monday Night Football game, when he sort of proved he could win in a different way in just picking apart that zone defense. I think they saw in the summer that, like, okay, this guy, like, he has taken this leap. And then they're curious to see how it plays out in the regular season. They win those first 2 games. Obviously, things could have changed from then. He could have got injured. He could have had some regression of play. But I think from really like that point on, it was like you're just wondering about like just how good he's going to be, just how much he's going to cost. I don't know. It's hard to take a full step back and reflect on just how much better he's gotten, and who knows what is to come. But it's been impressive, and as you said, he's earned it. And I also think that, like, somebody described it to me as not like, this is an amazing like quarterback development thing that the Eagles have done. Like, what a great job with him they have done, which is true to some degree. It's more like, man, this thing happened to them. Like they just like they hit the lottery with and credit to them for making the pick. But like,
exactly.
Jalen Hurts is the one who made Jalen Hurts.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jalen Hurts deserves the credit here. But I mean, the Eagles had all these opportunities either not to draft him or to go in a different direction. And look, sometimes the deal doesn't work out and it happens by default. But I mean, the Eagles aren't like free from credit here. I mean, they deserve credit.
Sure.
And they put an infrastructure in place.
Absolutely. 100%.
Now, I do think that Jalen is the type of guy, because we've seen this now in 3 places. They've all been 3 good places. I mean, Alabama, Oklahoma won with him and without him, but Alabama, Oklahoma, and in Philadelphia, where he said like he is the elixir. Is that the right
force
word?
Of personality, yeah.
Exactly. So I think that he probably would have been successful wherever he would have went because of the sheer force of personality, to use the expression you just used. But I think the Eagles also created an environment where he could succeed. And so the Eagles get credit here, but none more than Jalen. It's the same way when we always talk about the offensive lineman and we're like, Jeff Stoutland deserves so much credit. No, like the player deserves the credit. Jalen deserves the credit for sure.
And it's also it is funny how like how much of a like an open joke it was in the locker room this year, like especially towards the end of the year, about like next time we see Jalen, he's going to be, he's going to be a multi-$100 million man. Like, I can't wait to get my presents. And you saw AJ Brown tweeting about it today. Like, good thing I got a birthday coming up.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. The Eagles weren't shy about this offseason.
Yeah.
Typically it's, you want to stay as far away from contract questions, but the Eagles were always like, yeah, we're ready for that phase where we have a quarterback on a big contract. We're preparing for it. Jeffrey Lurie said Jalen's going to be here for a long time. Like they were very upfront about the fact that There was not a decision to make on their end. It was just what's that number going to be, and that's why I give them credit because both sides made this work. Well, I mean, I say this as a reporter. You always like when things are out there and in public, but this wasn't one of those things where there were all these public negotiations. I mean, there was speculation on a lot of different ends of the spectrum here, but they negotiated this like adults and they signed it and here they are, right?
Like, how else would you
Well, I just mean,
just throwing dirty diapers at them?
No, it wasn't like these
I know.
holdouts and I'm not going to report to the offseason program until the
I think there is
posturing.
it's a little bit just like there's the advantage of getting the deal in ahead of the other big quarterbacks. I think there is an advantage in like just doing it early and so this stuff doesn't drag out.
Absolutely.
Even if you're sacrificing a few $1 million. Easy for me to say. All right, Zach, let's close out the Jalen portion here with, let me ask you, if you were signing any quarterback in the league to this deal, how many quarterbacks would you take over Jalen Hurts moving forward? Would you like me to run through the quarterbacks?
Okay.
Josh Allen.
Sure.
You would rather have Josh Allen?
I mean, I'd be happy with Jalen Hurts. It's like picking. I love Reed and Sloan, right? Like I don't want to pick a
You
child.
consider Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen your children?
No, I just meant like sometimes.
Much?
No, I meant sometimes it's not binary. Like you pick one or the other.
But this is binary. I'm asking you to stork rank the quarterbacks in the league. I want to know where Jalen sits in your mind at this day as a time capsule.
I'll go Patrick Mahomes 1. Well, I guess I'll do your exercise. Okay. Josh Allen. Yeah, I'm probably still taking Josh Allen.
You were taking Josh Allen. Okay. Josh Allen will be 27 in May. Okay. Just to say, Jalen Hurts will be 25 this summer. I think I probably would take Josh Allen too, but I'm not. I am like really considering Jalen Hurts. Tua?
No. Yeah.
Mac Jones?
No.
Zach Wilson?
No.
Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I guess I would take Burrow.
Burrow is an easier yes for me than Josh Allen. I would. Yeah. Burrow for me is number 2.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
I guess I'll go Jalen right now. I mean, I really like Lamar. I really like Lamar though. But
I would go Jalen without a second thought.
Okay.
Kenny Pickett.
No.
Deshaun Watson.
No.
Michael Dunn.
Well, yeah, Michael's great. So I wouldn't have him as my quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence.
No.
Go ahead, Marissa. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say you definitely don't want him as your quarterback.
Ryan Tannehill.
No.
Gardner Minshew.
No.
Case Keenum.
No. Who's Casey? Who's
Texans.
I think he's in Houston. Yeah.
Texans,
okay.
yeah.
I gotcha. Okay.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. I'll take Patrick Mahomes.
Justin Herbert.
No. You?
Jimmy G. No, I would not take Justin Herbert.
Okay. No.
Russell Wilson, your boy. You would have taken him last year.
I was last year, but look, information could change, right?
Dak Prescott.
No.
Daniel Jones.
No.
Who will be making $15 million more over the next 2 years. Jacoby Brissett.
No.
Kirk Cousins.
No.
Jared Goff.
No.
Jordan Love.
No.
Justin Fields.
No.
Blaine Gabbert. Jeff Driscoll, whoever you want.
Yeah. No.
Derek Carr.
No.
Desmond Ridder.
No.
Brock Purdy and Trey Lance combined into one human being.
No.
Geno Smith.
No.
Matthew Stafford.
No.
Kyler Murray.
No.
Bryce Young. CJ Stroud.
No. Not even on rookie deals.
Will Levis.
No, definitely not.
Anthony Richardson.
No.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
No.
Okay, so you and I
Big hater,
both,
maybe.
you and I both have Jalen Hurts as the number 4 quarterback in the league if you were starting a franchise today.
Yes.
I think
And
that's
look,
right.
there
And I
might
think,
be
and
there might be recency bias here, but yeah.
well, of course, there's recency bias.
Yeah.
But
But this time last year, that's not what you got. No
this
one
time
was
last year it
thinking.
would have been like
Yeah.
20th or something like that.
Players
Maybe,
get
I think a little higher, but
Yeah.
And it was the point that I kept making during the Super Bowl week. Like, you don't need to be married to an opinion.
how about Tom Brady?
Players get better. No.
Are you sure about that? I know you. How about Eli?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I think the conversation with him and Josh Allen is real. And part of that is because of the health, and we can get to that in the next portion of our episode. Take a little break, coming back, talking about what's next for the Eagles as they build this thing around the big money man, Jalen Hurts. Now that spring is finally here, the days are longer, the tennis matches are outside, the flowers are blooming, and you can spend some time on your yard. What makes the season even better is Sunday Lawn Care. Sunday is everything you need to get the lawn you've dreamed of. This spring, go to getsunday.com/birds and enter your address to get a customized plan created just for your lawn. No trips to the store or hauling heavy bags since they strip straight to your home. All you need is a hose to apply Sunday. You can fertilize your whole lawn in less time than it takes to watch an episode of your favorite TV show. That's because your favorite TV show is YouTube episodes of Birds with Friends, and they usually last about 2.5 hours. The other good thing about Sunday, well, they only use ingredients you can feel good about. No harsh chemicals, no long waiting periods, or trying to keep your kids and pets off the lawn. Simply apply, let it dry, and you're back to enjoying your yard. How about let's make that third rhyme there next time? Simply apply, let it dry, be a guy. Eagle eye in the sky. How about that? Sunday is easy and affordable. Some lawn care services cost more than $1,500 a year, but Sunday's full season plans start at just $109. And even better news, Sunday is offering our listeners 20% off. Full season plans start at just $109, and you can get 20% off when you visit getsunday.com/birds at checkout. That's 20% off your custom plan at getsunday.com/birds. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Whether or not you feel like you need therapy, sometimes it's just good to have somebody to talk to. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. And believe me, otherwise, like finding a therapist in your area is a very difficult thing to do. BetterHelp makes the whole thing very easy. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/BWF today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/BWF. All right, back on Birds with Friends. Bo, Zach, and Marissa here to talk about what's next for the Eagles after the Jalen Hurts contract is signed. Zach, one of the questions you posed in that roundtable is what's next on the agenda. Mm-hmm. What did you say to that?
Well, the obvious one is the draft. I'm sorry. I made the point that I made before that the Eagles are in a phase now where they need to hit on these picks, and you're not going to hit on every pick. We should start off by saying that the odds are against all 6 of these picks that I mentioned during these next 2 years odds are against those guys all becoming major contributors for you. But this is where the Eagles really need to make a difference here. Whether it's navigating via trade in getting more picks, whether it is getting a premier young player, whether it's just hitting on players. And I'm going to make a point that we made in last week's show, which is I don't think that the objective needs to be find the player who's going to tilt your championship odds a little bit more this season. I think it's going to be who's
Go ahead.
who.
Sorry.
But I keep hearing that argument. I keep
Well,
hearing
it's stupid. It's ridiculous.
where's you can't spend the number 10 overall pick on a guy who's going to sit on the bench. Sure you can.
Yeah,
Sure you can. The question needs to be when we look at this 2025 roster, this 2026 roster, which Jalen Hurts is the quarterback on now, right? Who are the other core players on that team? And this gives you a chance to find one or two of those guys this year, one or two of these guys next year.
Yeah, that is not what the draft is for, especially that early in the draft. It's a ridiculous framing.
I was at a wedding this weekend, and I kept that's the number one question I kept hearing.
Flex
was, well, you'd say who are you going to take at 10, and then you say, who's on the board? Who do you think you're going to take? That kind of thing. And then people are like, how can you take someone who's not going to play? And I say it's very simple, right? You're thinking you're not drafting for this year. You're drafting for the next 5 to 8 years.
Totally. And that's how you make bad picks.
Mm-hmm.
That's like literally how Jalen Reagor happened. So I'll tell you what, though, it shouldn't have we knew that this deal was coming. And so it shouldn't really actually change my mind that much. But the more I think about it and the more I think about, how do you the brain trust has to be having the conversations about, okay, now that we've got Jalen Hurts locked up, we do have to think about how are we going to make sure that we surround him and keep him on the field long term, because we can hand wave away the injuries, but they have happened each of the past 2 seasons. That's a very real thing, especially when you're committing 6 years to a guy, even if the end of the contract is a bit of funny money. It's a similar conclusion that I came to the more we talked about it with Jimmy last week. I think offensive line at 10 is very much on the table as something that is exactly the kind of thing that they would invest in long term.
For sure. And you made the point to Jimmy too. I think it was with Jimmy, or it might have been in a different conversation here about the Landon Dickerson pick. That it was viewed then as a luxury pick. Then 3 weeks into the year, he's your starting guard. And I can hear Joe. I know exactly where Joe Douglas said it, how he said it, when he's sitting there and he said, Ozzie Newsome told him that today's luxury is tomorrow's necessity. Right. And it very clearly,
if you got 5 offensive linemen, you got none.
He didn't say that, did he?
No, I'm coming up with saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That things can change so quickly in this league. So let's say they do draft an offensive tackle at 10, and that guy is not your starting right guard this year, although I keep saying Paris Johnson could be. But let's say that guy's not your starting guy, your starting guard next year. If Jordan Mailata gets hurt week 2, who's protecting Jalen Hurts? Who's your backup left tackle, right? These are, to your point, that's very significant question that they need to have a good answer to. You need to have your premium positions entrenched this year and going forward.
Yeah, they got great injury luck last year, but Lane Johnson never makes it through a season fully healthy. Jason Kelce has had unbelievable injury luck, but he's 36. Landon Dickerson has an extensive injury history. Jordan Mailata has a balky back. Yeah, you need these contingency plans.
Yeah, and then the defense is a different conversation. I think they continue to add to the defense through the draft, get guys in cost-controlled contracts. But the next big deal to watch will be this time next year, Devontae Smith's eligible for a new deal, right? And you already have A.J. Brown on a 4-year, $100 million contract. Devontae is awesome, right? And he's going to want a top-of-the-league deal. He's a 1,000-yard receiver in his second year. He was so good this year. He's reliable. He's similar to Jalen. He's the kind of guy you want to build around. So they're going to need to pay him. And there's guys who are getting older that they're going to need succession plans. But the most important thing on that offense, the most important thing is the succession plan for Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce. The Cam Jurgens thing's already there, right? So you need to continue developing him. You need to know he's the guy. And you need to know Lane has 2 years. He said that, right? Maybe he keeps playing. You never know what kind of, but you need to know what you're going to do at right tackle beyond the 2024 season. And that's why when I say 6 picks in the next 2 years, one of those 6 picks is going to be an offensive tackle.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Yeah, maybe 2 of them. Yeah.
It'd be funny if Devontae Smith like gets paid and all of a sudden like he discovers food for the first time and comes back like 40 pounds
He's
heavier.
overweight. Yeah. No, that would be kind of. I think he eats. I just don't think he keeps it on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Of course he eats.
Yeah.
What would you do, Zach, if you got a $255 billion deal?
I would invest it. Yeah, I mean,
In Apple?
well, if you look over time, that's been a shrewd investment, but I would probably diversify a little bit more.
Okay.
Than Apple. Yeah.
What would you do with your day-to-day?
What would you do? Curious.
No, you gotta answer your question first.
I'm asking you. I'm curious.
No, but what would you do with your day-to-day? Would you would?
Yeah, I would
keep
work.
grinding. You'd probably go.
Absolutely. Keep grinding. Yeah, keep working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Find the
He's
next
working until the day he
$255 million.
dies. Come on, here.
Yeah, exactly.
Establish that.
Yeah. What would you do?
I would not keep working.
No.
No way.
What would you do? Like, how would you spend your time?
I would find something else to do with my time, but
Like
I
what?
mean,
like
$255 million. I mean, I don't know. It'd be my I don't know. Spend more time with the family. I mean, I don't need to be. I don't need to be. Responding to news bulletins about Jalen Hurts' contract if I'm worth $255 million. Let's be fair.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I don't know. Maybe I would start a sports journalism startup.
Okay. Fair enough. I suppose there's a lot of things that I could think of doing, but honestly, I'm focused on doing a good job at my current job right now.
Okay. How about you, Marissa?
I probably would do like a mix between the both of you, which I think is very like fitting because my personality is definitely a mix between the both of you. I definitely wouldn't have like a full-time job, I don't think, but I would definitely want to do
some
something.
passion projects.
Yeah, something like part-time.
Maybe I'd find a book idea or something like that.
Yeah, something. I would probably buy a house. Although Michael's very content when we come to the off season and stay at my parents. So maybe the house next door to my parents.
Still have your mom do his laundry?
Yeah. My stepdad could do the yard work. She could text us when dinner's ready. Best of both worlds. I don't know. I think like I definitely would want to help people donate, I think you could do a lot of good with that much money.
For sure.
So a lot of people in the chat are saying travel. I definitely think that
traveling
would be a big thing too. Cousin Grace said she would adopt 27 dogs. So
it's a lot of dogs.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of stuff. Travel, help,
yeah.
Spend some more time with, family, that kind of thing. That would probably be my if I had $255 million.
Best thing is you could finally afford some Magic Spoon.
Yeah.
Are they still sponsored?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You get like 4 boxes, bro.
I actually definitely think I would hire a chef. Like I don't mind cleaning. I could clean for hours and days, but I don't really love to cook. Or especially clean up cooking or like go to the grocery store and get everything you need to cook. So having somebody, I mean, I guess I have that in my mother. Don't tell her I said that. But somebody that came and was like, this is what dinner is going to be tonight. I think that would be pretty cool.
In my day-to-day, you know what the biggest advantage of that would be? Making the kids lunches every night. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If we get that off my plate, that 45-minute ordeal of figuring out what it's going to be for lunch, packing it up. Oh, that would be what a time saver that would be.
Yeah, there you go. The chef can do that. It'd be like a gourmet,
Fantastic.
Cut into a shape of a heart. Who knows?
Now we're talking. Every day. Forgot to do it last night. Forgot Monday was coming up. Had to do it this morning.
Wait, you forgot Monday was coming up?
Well, just forgot that that meant that Monday meant that I had to
your
pack
Sunday
lunches for the
nights are
kids.
totally different than my Sunday nights.
Zach's like, Monday's tomorrow. Yes, I can't wait.
I had my week sketched out.
Ripping, Zach's just ripping lines, trying to
ripping lines.
I
I could not imagine being like, wait, Monday's tomorrow?
It's not wait Monday's tomorrow. It's just that
How did you wake up not realizing today was Monday? This is my point.
You were not listening to me. I knew that it was Monday. I knew that Monday was coming up. I just didn't remember that meant that I had to make lunches for the kids the next day.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
What do they take for lunch?
Oh man, depends. Well, it's a protein, a fruit, and a vegetable, and then 3 snacks. That's basically
that's a good lunch, though.
The go-to. But sometimes it's like sometimes it's leftovers, sometimes it's chicken nuggets, sometimes it's like a cobbled together quesadilla. We got some eggs. Sometimes could be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Wow, wide assortment.
Yeah, but varying results. Nothing Casey loves in the world more than strawberries. He could eat a million strawberries.
Yeah, Reed's a big strawberry guy as well.
If Casey had $255 million, he would use it all on strawberries. Maybe some of it on Octonauts gear.
I don't even know what that is. I will learn.
There is one other topic I'd like to discuss, Zach, and get your thoughts on. That it's not Jalen Hurts related. So, do you have any other Jalen Hurts thoughts before I get to that?
I have a question that was in the chat a bunch. Anything on the no trade clause? Did that surprise you?
Okay,
what did you think about that?
I appreciate you asking that, Marissa. I received a text about this today from someone who was really surprised that they gave a no trade clause, and I don't.
Was it Jeffrey?
It was not Jeffrey. It was a reporter in a different market. You could probably guess. And the way
that he's smiling, I have no idea.
And to me, it wasn't a surprise because, look, if you're going to want to trade if you're going to want to trade someone that you paid $252 million to, or $255 million to, he's probably going to want to be leaving too, right? I don't think the no trade clause is going to be prohibitive. All it's going to do is it's going to allow him to determine where he goes. But it's similar to Russell Wilson last year, right? Like both teams were ready for him to move on. If this went sour and if Jalen wanted to play elsewhere, or I'm sorry, if it ever got to a point where Jalen was going to play elsewhere, I imagine both sides will be ready for it. And this would give the player leverage to say, send me here or send me there. But like in the Carson Wentz situation, both sides ultimately were willing to move on at the end.
Was it Armando Salguero?
It was not. It was not.
Trying to think of a random reporter from a different market. Yeah, I think that's probably right. I mean, if it comes to trading him, you're in bad shape anyway. It's a nice little give in the negotiations as the first time you've ever done this, right?
Yep.
It's kind of nice.
I think it matters more in some other sports where the no trade where like it's either used where the team might want to trade the player, but the player's like, no, I want to stay here. You're not sending.
And also, I mean, the truth is that this is not going to be the contract that Jalen Hurts is on in 2027,
exactly.
Right? Like It is a 6-year deal in name only. It is really like it's a 2-year deal that's going to get renegotiated, and it's a guarantee that he's going to make this much money over the next 4 years, right? Like they're going to keep. It's not a done deal.
Yeah. I can't imagine. The Eagles were really put off by the no trade. Now, some teams don't like the no trade as a matter of precedent, right? Once you give it one time, you might have to give it another time.
Right,
but
next quarterback you sign can go to 2. Like,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
next guy who gets over 150 million guaranteed. Like,
I don't find I wasn't moved by the no trade clause. I'll put it that.
How much do you think that they are thinking through Jalen's health?
It has to be a thought, but what's the alternative here?
I'm not saying.
Oh, you mean in terms of the way they play?
I'm not saying.
You mean in terms of the way they play?
In terms of in terms of the way that they play and in terms of the roster building.
Well, definitely the roster building, but that's an organizational philosophy, anyways, about the offensive line. I disagree.
You could argue that running back is a part of that.
Okay, I don't think Jalen's going to run less, and I know this is something you and I disagree on because you've asked and you've written it. I think Jalen's going to play the way Jalen plays, and they signed up for the Jalen Hurts experience. So I don't anticipate that changing.
I think there are ways on the margins in which you would.
Okay.
I mean, he had 200 carries last year, including the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those were quarterback sneaks, and those are fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they'd probably like that to be closer to 150. Like,
I mean, I think not all carries are the same. I think there's probably data,
but we're in generalities, like.
Sure, but you break it down the amount of times
against the Commanders, he doesn't need to carry the ball 10 times, right? Like, save that stuff for as the season gets down to the wire. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is. Yeah, I see your point, and I understand what you're saying. I think they'll probably coach him. You know, not that, but Jalen doesn't really take many big hits as it is, and frankly, the one that he got hurt on this year was somewhat abnormal in that regard.
I would just say that I think if this deal is going to go sour over the course of the deal, it's probably more likely to come from injury than from like a total regression of play.
Oh, sure.
Don't you think? Like,
for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I know it's. I mean, a quarterback's always in peril of getting injured, right? So you're holding the ball, people are going to hit you. It's just a matter of where and when and how.
Got to get rid of the ball.
Got to get rid of the ball. Fair enough.
Okay. All right. Here's my last topic, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
How much longer do you think Josh Harris will be the owner of the 76ers?
I don't know the answer to that one.
As he takes a swig of water.
I think
Josh Harris, of course, agreeing, I guess, in principle to become the new owner of the Washington Commanders, who happen to be rivals of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I don't think that matters so much. But
I think it matters a lot. I think it's crazy to think it doesn't matter.
He's the owner of the New Jersey Devils. They're the rivals of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, nobody cares. If the Flyers were good, they would care.
I mean, do you root for an owner? Like when you're like, how many people go to the?
How weird would it be if we saw Josh Harris on the sideline in Game 1 wearing his Louis Vuitton hoodie, like one of the guys, a real regular fella. How weird would that be if that was Daniel Snyder?
How weird would it be if it was Daniel Snyder? It'd be weird if,
or Jerry Jones, or John, or your boy John Mara.
I think that you're speaking without. First off, he like okay. Anyone who's privy to the Sixers situation, Josh Harris lives in New York as it is, right? It's not like Jeffrey Lurie living in Philadelphia. I mean, he lives in New York as it is. He has a holdings group that includes the Devils, that includes Crystal Palace, right? I think maybe over the course of time here, maybe you see, the controlling owner change. I mean, maybe David Blitzer,
I think he's going to be forced at some point to take a step back from Sixers ownership, from being like the face of ownership.
That's what I just said. I said like the controlling voice, or like the public face of it, that could shift. Sure. I could see that changing, but I don't think he's going to be.
If the Commanders have a good year and he's doing a victory lap, and all of a sudden he's on the sidelines of Sixers games, Sixers fans aren't going to tolerate that. You ever been to Philadelphia?
Have I? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what
Sixers fans aren't going to tolerate
your lived experience of being in Philadelphia? What tells you that that's going to be okay?
Because you're rooting for the players, you're not rooting for the owner. I really think you're not. I mean, if he's investing in the team, if he's investing in the the big thing for the Sixers right now, other than
I can't believe that this isn't the topic every single day on WIP. This is it's insane to me.
And I think I mean, to me, it has more to do with like this weird spot that the Washington Commanders have in your mind. Than
What are you talking about? They're a
like
division rival
you can
in the sport that matters the most in the city.
I agree, but he's not affiliated with the Eagles. Like the Sixers ownership,
He
and the Eagles
is.
ownership.
He lives in. He owns. A
He doesn't live in
team.
Philly.
He owns a
Yeah.
Philadelphia team.
Yeah, he's part of a group that owns a Philadelphia team. That's correct, but it doesn't have anything to like. One doesn't have anything to do with the other. That's what I'm saying. They don't play in the same.
They
To me,
absolutely have something to
me,
do with the other. They're both sports in Philadelphia.
To me, it's weirder that he's the owner of a team that plays in the same building and is a tenant of like one of their chief rivals.
That is weird.
Like to me, that because there's business overlap here. Maybe I mean I don't know the nature of Jeffrey Lurie's relationship with Josh Harris, but I got to imagine whatever it might be would shift here. But I don't think one has to do with the other. I've gone to a lot of Sixers games. I've never seen. Okay, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant. I just meant I've never.
To be fair, you said it multiple times to really drive home the point.
I just meant I've never seen someone say we're going to the game tonight to watch Josh Harris, right? Like,
yeah, but you want the cognitive dissonance, right? You don't want to be reminded. You don't like.
He's. I mean, I think if you feel a certain way about the Sixers, you're either upset that he like pulled the carpet on what Sam Hinkie was doing and hired Brian Colangelo.
Oh, come on.
Or you're happy that they've made
these litigate Hinkie now.
Yeah, no. Or you're happy that they've made these types of investments in Embiid and Morey and Doc. Like they've really invested in the team. Or I think from
who would be the Colangelo corollary for the NFL? Like, who would he install with the Commanders?
That would be.
I guess it would be the Shanahans, but
no, it would probably. That's a good question. I'll think on that. And I'll
anyway, your bottom line is you're once again you're pro billionaires.
No, I'm just ambivalent toward. Again, I think that I think when I watched the Sixers game tonight and when I think the 20,000 fans
he was like standing and posing behind Doc Rivers on Saturday, like
he's excited.
Get away with him.
But I don't think fans are cheering for Josh Harris. I think they're cheering for the Sixers. Is my point. And so as I was saying, I think his vested interest is probably in building the arena, right? At Marcus East, but that's probably it. Depending whether you're like pro that project or anti that project, it probably dictates what you think of the ownership group if you're a Sixers fan. I can't imagine the Washington Commanders are going to be a factor in that. Honestly,
I bet it is a factor. Like if you are like the mayor of Philadelphia, why do you want to all of a sudden give more money to the guy who owns the Commanders?
Well, how's the mayor of Philadelphia giving money to the Sixers?
They're not building the stadium. It's to line Josh Harris's pockets. That's the ultimate end game.
Well, we could talk a lot about like arena construction and that project. But the point being, no, I think if you're an Eagles fan, which I imagine everyone still listening to this probably is, you're probably upset that like Daniel Snyder has objectively been an awful owner. Awful. Like just you look at their win-loss record, you look at the instability, you look at the facilities, you look at the reputation of the organization, and I need to imagine someone who's part of a group that's paying $6 billion for it is all of a sudden going to make infrastructure investments and like organizational investments that Washington has the chance to be a really good market in the NFL, right? With different ownership. And so I think that this is bad news for the Eagles because I imagine the NFC East will have better ownership, someone who's willing to spend, someone who's willing to invest. So that part of it's not good. I imagine they'll build a stadium there's a lot there that's not good for the Eagles, but I don't think like Sixers and Eagles fans should be repulsed by it. It might be weird, but it's an asset that he owns, right?
I think it's repulsive.
Okay. I did have an Eagles question for you. I didn't know that I didn't know we were going in that direction.
Okay, go ahead.
Buda Baker.
No,
Because of the contract, because of the age, because of the player.
because of the contract.
Okay.
I mean, it's all the it's what you said earlier. That is true. Once you're paying a quarterback this much, you have to make tough decisions. You can't pay every position. I don't think that they are going to be in the business of trading for a guy and giving a big contract to a player like Buda Baker at that position.
Okay. Fair enough. You're talking. He's now the devil's. I agree with you. The flip side is he's a 27-year-old player who's like top of the league at his position. If you can get him for a second-round pick, which you probably can, and you got to pay him a big deal. Again, that'd be a lot of money tied up in their secondary. I don't see them going in that direction. But if he wasn't looking for a new deal, he probably wouldn't ask for a trade. But in that case, I could see it occurring.
Yeah, nothing about it fits what they need to pivot to do now. I mean, if it was a 4th round pick and you could still squeeze it in and maneuver it around, maybe, but I don't think that's how they want to go about building this team right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. All right. That'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. We will be back tomorrow night, Tuesday, prime time, 8:00. We're going to start things off with Coach Flynn, ya boy, talking draft. We're pivoting to the draft tomorrow night. Then we're going to have on Dane Brugler, the episode, the interview that happened. In your mind, just know that it was recorded exactly after the Eagles had
literally
signed
exactly
to a contract.
Yes.
And I think you'll be impressed with Zach's performance, given all that was going on in his mind at the time. So stay tuned for that. That'll do it. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts, and most importantly, to Michael Dunn, back in Cleveland. 2 players who will probably be meeting in the Pro Bowl next year.
Quick question for you. At the game tonight, okay, are you rooting for Josh Harris or are you rooting for Josiah? Which one?
I mean, you're posing that like you think it's a gotcha question. It's not the point. And no one's rooting for Josh Harris. I don't think that Eagles fans and who are Sixers fans want to be reminded of the fact that the owner owns the Commanders.
Yeah,
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
I'll respond to your question. How much money do you think that hoodie that Josh Harris was wearing on Saturday is worth? What do you think's the cost of that hoodie?
I don't know.
If you had to guess.
I'm wearing a Roan hoodie that you can get at discount. You can put in theathletic.com/birds. I'm sorry, roan.com/birds. Or
have we announced that as a sponsor yet? I didn't get any Roan swag.
No, I used the promo code.
No.
Yeah, we've had them on a few
We've
times.
had them? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
how much did it cost with the promo code?
With the promo code, I think it was like 50 something.
Okay.
So
you could buy.
But what sweatshirt was Josh Harris wearing?
22 of those for the cost of Josh Harris's Louis Vuitton hoodie.
You're acutely aware of how much Louis Vuitton sweatshirts cost. I'm impressed.
I saw him wear it, and I thought to myself, well, there's a regular Joe, or at least a guy cosplaying as a regular Joe. Let's see how much this actually is worth. Easy to find out.
I want to know if Jalen Hurts is courtside tonight. I would put a lot on that.
I don't think he's in town. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not. So
Zach's got spies all over.
Maybe. All right. Sorry to cut you off. But if he is, that'd be an awesome pregame, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to waste that for, game 2 of the opening round series against a terrible team. Save that for the next round.
But to bring it all full circle, okay? Josh Harris and the group that he's part of with David Blitzer and whatnot.
Both JHs. Long time conversation on this.
Purchased the Sixers in 2011 for almost as much as Jalen Hurts signed the contract for today. I believe they paid $280 for the Sixers in 2011.
Really?
which was ridiculously undervalued. And Jalen Hurts signed for $255
Like the Berman brothers should have scraped together that money.
And Jalen Hurts signed for $255 million. Yeah. So there you go.
Okay. Well, for Marissa and Zach, and the short-lived time that Ethan Posich was a starting caliber center.
Hey, we love Ethan over here.
I'm Bo. We thank you for listening. We will talk to you tomorrow night. And as always, we love you.